like so. There you go. What's going on? So today we're going to look at hammock system, and specifically we're going to look at my hammock system. Well, this is a hammock system, the hammock system that I use. Now, this is the hammock that I'm making for a friend of mine who asked for a hammock, so I made him a whole setup. And I figured while I had it out here for a test and making sure it doesn't fall apart when he sits in it, I'd show you guys. I've talked about my hammock before, but I've never really done a real thorough look at it, not like this. So I'll show you the setup and all the components and talk a little bit about it. So cool. Let's see what we got. All right, so let's have a real quick look at the components themselves. So this is the suspension and the extra cordage. Now this is my pack. I didn't want to get his new suspension all dirty, so I brought my stuff. And there's a couple differences here. This is the hammock. This is a 1.6 or 1.7 Hyper D extra wide, 10 foot by, it's probably almost about 6 feet wide. This is the bug net. It's a 0.67 no-seam mesh from Ripstop by the roll. This stuff is great. I love this. And then this is the tarp. So this is 12 by 9, and it's pretty much overkill for a 10-foot hammock, but it could be used as a shelter on its own. It's got a lot of options there. So this is almost identical to the setup that I use, obviously aside from the color. Mine's orange. There are a few differences, and I'll point those out as I go, mostly in the, aside from the color, in the suspension and in the tarp. So what I'll do is I'll go set up the cameras and show you guys how this all sets up. First thing you gotta do is you gotta find yourself some trees. So I'm gonna use this tree and this tree here. These should be plenty far enough apart for what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I'll measure these out. Yeah, they're about 14, 15 feet apart, so that should be good. So these are the straps. Now, like I said, these are the straps I use. I don't want to get his straps all dirty. They are pretty much identical, aside from the fact that his have a longer tree strap. So the system I use is whoopee slings and tree straps. And since I always use my whoopee strings and tree straps, I just have them connected to each other, much like the Eagles Nest Outfitters Helios system. I take a lot of inspiration from other systems I've seen. The difference in mine are the whoopee slings are a lot longer, probably 2 feet longer, and I'm using AM steel. And on the recent ones I've been making, this is a 4-foot tree strap. My new ones I've been making have a 5-foot tree strap, just for bigger trees. But these go down from, at the shortest distance, about 20 inches, and they go out to 6 feet per pair, or per strap. So you got 4 feet to 12 feet just on the whoopee slings, and that doesn't take into account what you might have left over going around a tree. So what I'll do here is I'm going to set this up a little low so you can see it, and then I'll readjust it. But you just take this around a tree and then you feed it through itself. Like so. And then you pull it tight. Now the key here is you'll notice my strap isn't in the center of the tree. I'm not going to pull it this way. That puts way too much tension on this loop. So you want to make sure that it's off to the side and it's just holding you there. It's just keeping tension on the strap. So you're not actually putting a lot of stress on this. All right. Now this tree is narrow enough, I might be able to go around a second time. Yeah, I can go around twice. So what I'll do, and now with the 5-foot strap, you definitely go around twice on this. But so I can go around 2 times and bring the strap through. Again, just using that loop to hold it. And this is fine. It's not going to cause any problems with it being like that. I'm going to raise these up a little bit. Now, I usually start just a little over head height. It's actually a little narrower up there, so I got the entire system through. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. The reason why I prefer this whoopee string, this tree strap method, is it's super light. These things weigh next to nothing, and really easy. Now, I could use this with a carabiner on this part, you know, and then just come around a tree and clip the carabiner on. That would work too. I could have this, the other end here, attached directly to the hammock, so it's all one piece. There's a lot of options you can do with a setup like this. Can I go around twice with this one? Probably not. No. All right, so let's see. I might have to move back a tree. I'm gonna try not to. Raise this one up a little bit, and again, careful to make sure that I'm not putting too much tension on the loop. So next thing you want to use, let's see what it is. You want to grab your hammock. This is the first time I've had this hammock out in a while. And you'll notice that I've got a set of carabiners on here already with the same Dyneema AM steel setup as the continuous loops at the end of the hammock. And you just put the carabiner through this fixed loop at the end and move on down the other side. Pull it out. Oh, I got plenty of room. Plenty of room. I've actually got this way too tight. So these whoopee slings, you just take a little pressure off of this piece here, and you can adjust the length. No need for knots. No need for continuous readjusting of your tree strap. You just take the weight off. You pull it through to loosen it. And you do what they call milk the berry. So basically, this just goes right through itself. Acts like a Chinese finger trap. So you just make sure that's tight on there, and that will not slip. It won't slip at all. I've been using this set of straps for over a year now, and I've used this out in rain and snow. And then same thing when you're tightening it, just take a little pressure off this end, pull it through, make sure it's all good, and there you go. Flip it this way, and there you go. You get in the hammock, everything grabs, and you're all set. You're all set to relax. So as you can see, this has got a ton of room inside. And when you're laying in a hammock, you don't lay straight down it. Let me take my boots off real quick, I'll show you. Not going to get into somebody else's hammock with boots. I don't get my own hammock with boots on. I've got no insulation with me for this, so I'm not going to be bootless for very long in here with a little breeze blowing. So instead of laying straight down the center like this, you get what they call cross lay. You lay. There you go either way. You can put your head to the left, your head to the right, your feet to the opposite side, and you lay pretty much flat, and it is so comfortable. Also helps when you got a view like that right over your head. That sun is so bright. Okay, so that's the hammock itself. All right. Now, when I first started making hammocks, I made a bunch of prototypes. I named every one of them. The first one I called Orangahang because it was all orange. That was a super light, like backpacking hammock. I could literally fit that with the suspension in my pants pocket, and you wouldn't even know it was there. The second one I made was, I called that Colonel Mustard because it was yellow. It looked like mustard. Third one I made was for a friend of mine who wanted a camouflage hammock for hunting, and made it with a camouflage hammock body and a blaze orange tarp. And when I was working on that, when I first started selling it, I was listening to Pandora or something, and the song of Rooster by Alice in Chains came on, and I liked that song. And I was working on it's about a guy who's in the military, in the army, and I'm working on a camouflage hammock. So I named that one Rooster, and I called the tarp Hen House. And then I kind of settled on this kind of design that I'm using now. And the first one I made was a brown 11-foot hammock. Figured I hadn't really tried 11-foot hammocks. I wanted to see what all the fuss is about. And I used it a few times, and I kind of liked the 10-foot hammocks. But I called that the Coyote, because it was coyote brown. So I called the whole system the Coyote, the hammock, the bug net, the tarp. So I just continue to call this whole system that I use the Coyote system. That way I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking to my anybody who knows what I'm working on. Like, oh no, this is the Coyote system. So that's what I call this. I call this the Coyote system. So next thing I'm going to put up is let's do the bug net next. So this is the 0.67 ounce mesh, and this completely surrounds the hammock. So you could take this with you, you can leave it behind, does not matter. It's kind of why I like the modular setup. And I'm going to change out these. I got some nicer poles instead of these homemade ones. So all you do with this is you unzip it, you go to one end of the hammock. Actually, first thing I'll do, I'll go to one end of the hammock. I'll take the carabiner. I will feed it all the way through. There's an end there somewhere. There it is. You may notice that I've matched all the colors to this. Any of the accents on the hammock match, or on the bug net and the tarp match the hammock itself. Just a nice little added touch, I thought. And then you kind of pull it over, and you do the same thing on this side. There it is. Here's the end. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll hang the bug net first. The way I made the bug net is it's self-supporting. It doesn't need the hammock. But if I know I'm putting a bug net on, I'll hang that first. But for demonstration purposes, I figured to do it this way. So what I've done with this bug net, which is, again, kind of inspired by other designs, it's a pod system that goes around the hammock, but it's got its own integrated ridge line instead of an additional ridge line that you kind of hang it on, because they get droops in them that way. Now what I've done is I've made it so it's got a shock cord system attached to it, which allows it to move a little bit without the possibility of it ripping. And I use just these little hook grabbers, and you can tighten the shock cord a little bit. Do the same thing on the other side. Grab your shock cord. And that way, as you're moving in the hammock or the wind's blowing or whatever, you don't have to worry about putting too much tension on the bug net itself. And then I put drawstrings here so you can cinch those down. Everything's enclosed. Your carabiners and everything can fit right inside the bug net. So if you got like a light system, or if you want to attach a ridge line to your carabiner for inside the hammock, you don't have to worry about it stretching anything out. And there you go. That's bug net. You got a little pouch down here in the bottom, like you do with your hammock. I usually hang like my water bottle or something in there and put my phone, charger, anything like that. Now you're completely protected from bugs. Easy access, entrance and everything. It's got all the matching highlights. I like it. I like it a lot. What do you think? All right, and then the last bit is the tarp. This I just finished. I just put the weatherproofing on this, the seam seal. I'll hang it back up against night and just go back over it one more time, make sure I got all the seams. This thing is a monster. This thing is huge. It's got 12 tie-out points. See, I got the seam seal. And now the difference with this one to mine is the same size. I just didn't add all 12 tie-out points to mine because I really only use mine in a limited number of configurations. So that's all I use. I didn't put all the additional tie-outs on it. I could, and I might. I haven't felt the need for doors yet. I'll go higher to use the doors on mine. So I haven't put the second set of tie-outs on the other side, but this one's got all 12. So a tie-out at each end of the peak, all four corners, the centers, and then kind of quarter way down the sides for doors, should you want to use doors in the winter, or even in summer if it's raining really hard. You want to keep yourself as dry as possible. So let's find the other end. Here it is. And the nice thing about this is you don't have to worry about tying knots. Just use the same little hook grabbers and then use tensioners. And it sets up super fast. Super fast. I don't like messing around with all kinds of knots and crazy stuff like that. So now, the other nice thing with this setup is you don't have to use tent stakes. You could use tent stakes if you want to. You could use rocks. You could use sticks. You could use trees. Whatever you happen to have, because you just go around to whatever is handy. There you go. Now it's set up. I will grab a few tent stakes though, because there's not trees in the right places for this. I'll put those up front. There we go. And for demonstration purposes too, you can see the different ways. So I'll set a tent stake out here. I'll grab a corner. Hook it on. Pull it tight. I'm gonna have to redo that because so I'll do porch mode on this side because. All right, so what I usually do is I carry some extra cordage with me, and I have these D-rings on the sides instead of the tensioners. So we don't want to use the additional. You don't have to. Where's the end of my? And then all you do is you grab a couple more tent stakes. Got too many little bags on the pack here. They're all sticking together. Grab 2 more tent stakes. And you stick them out here somewhere. Make sure they're good and tight. There's one. Put the other one. Where about here somewhere? Of course, there's a giant rock underneath here. Come on. That's one of the problems with trying to do this in Pennsylvania. And then loosen up one corner because you're going to wind up redoing that anyway. I raise this up as high as I can get it. Go around the handle a couple times. Now you could go the opposite way and put the tips right in the opening here, but it's a little mushy to be trying that today. I will lose the ends of my poles right in the mush. And then you hook it on and you're good. And I'll do the same thing over here. I'll extend this as high as I can. I'll wrap it around a couple times. And hook it on my tent stake. And this side, I will redo with the tent stake. Maybe if I can find one. There we go. Tent stake here. And there you go. And you can see you've got all kinds of room underneath here. And if you want to, you could do the same kind of door setup there on back here and drop these sides down and make yourself a nice little shelter. You can close those off and use it as a shelter. Just put it right down to the ground, something happened to the hammock. And when you're inside, you can see that I use the same color fabric here on the tie outs. This could be a little bit higher probably, but for a quick setup, not too bad. Now if I was camping, I'd have my quilts with me. I wouldn't have the bug net, and I'd have my hammock, but might be a little lopsided. Might be heading this way a little bit. All right, I'll show you what I do on mine. I set up another stake back directly behind the hammock. This would be what I would consider the back side. And I'll set one up back here. And I'll just use a center tie out. It just helps if it gets windy or if it's snowing. Helps keep everything tight and gives you a little more room on the inside. So same concept there. Just pull tight, bring it down, and now you can continue to adjust this to get all the wrinkles. You can put a lot of tension on this thing. This is usually the setup I'll use when I'm out. Gives me one side that's down, so whatever direction the wind's coming from, or if I'm in a campground and there's people camping up back behind me, or that's where the facilities are, or there's a light or something, I'll set the one side down low, I'll leave their side up, and just kind of gives you a little shelter. So yeah, that's it. That's what I do for hammocks. It's a good little system. I like it. Like I said, it's modular, so if I'm going out in the winter and there's no chance of precipitation, maybe I won't take the tarp. Maybe I'll take it and not deploy it. I definitely won't take the bug net in the winter. I add whatever I need as far as quilts. It's nice. I can just throw the hammock in my backpack with the suspension. And if I'm doing a long day hike, just take that and I got a place to hang out. It's a very nice system. Very, very nice system. At least I think so. And of course, I don't have to bring my hiking poles. I could just use sticks. There's a lot of options here. With 12 tie-out points, you got a lot of options as to what you can do. You could fold the doors in and just use it as a hex tarp if you wanted to. You could fold half of it in and just tie out here and just use it as a triangle tarp. And you got a lot of options. A lot of things you can do. So yeah, let me know what you think. Yeah, I got 2 cameras today. Let me know what you think. It's a cool little system. I like it. What would you change? What would you do different? What would you add? What would you take away? What do you use in your setup? Do you even use a hammock? Maybe you don't. But if you like the video, click the like button, hit subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next.